Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm thrilled to have you here for another captivating tale that will tug at your heartstrings and keep you on the edge of your seat. Today's story is one of love, betrayal, and the quest for self-discovery. It's titled "I Closed Up the Coffee Shop, Then a Customer Lost Her Mind, Called the Cops Over Missing Earbuds." Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go. So, I work in a coffee shop. Most of our customers are genuinely lovely people, but over the years, I have learned about the levels of entitlement and just plain crazy that exist. To be honest, I didn't think anyone could surprise me anymore. Tonight's events might actually have surpassed the guy who put a curse on me and my family. The guy who threw a ceramic cup at my head one morning. The drunk girls who threw up all over the front door at 7 a.m. then walked in and got grumpy that we didn't have any vegan breakfast items. The time a guy managed to get himself so wound up that he started swearing at me because I hadn't laughed hard enough at his "if you can't find a product on the till, then it's free" joke. That I have previously never ever heard before. Ever. Honest. Yeah, okay. So today I was cleaning up like usual and for once, it was going pretty smoothly. One of those dream shifts where you look around and just know you're going to get out on time. No last-minute customers demanding you make drinks and mess up every piece of equipment you've just spent an hour cleaning. It was glorious. I did the usual rounds telling the last few stragglers that we were closing in 5 so if they could start finishing up and getting themselves ready and so on. And I went through to the office to start the admin. Now, one thing you need to know is our company policy states that you can't take the till off and count it until the doors are locked. Obviously, you can't lock the doors until all the customers have left. And this is usually not a problem. So I came back through to lock the doors and there she is. Let's call her Karen, okay? Karen is standing near the front door and emptying out the entire contents of her purse and pram all over a table. I looked at the girl who I was working with and raised an eyebrow. She's working with me long enough to recognize the "what the hell is going on" look. Apparently, Karen had lost an earbud. Great. So since she's been a regular customer for over a year, I put on my best customer service act and go across. We went back and checked where I knew she'd been sitting. Then check out the other table she had also been sitting at earlier. Turns out I never want to put my bare hands that far down the sides of the sofas again. We both searched and couldn't see anything. I offered for her to leave her details in case it turned up in the morning. I'm on early so I'd have another look tomorrow. But nope. This wasn't good enough. Before my eyes, this usually very normal, polite, pretty, reserved grown woman turned into a raging banshee. Screeching about how they are 150-pound earpods. Several things happened over the next half hour. Her husband appeared. Someone needs to give that man a medal, or maybe a CT scan. He quickly sussed out the situation and tried to talk some sense into her. She then started screaming about how she wasn't leaving until it was found. And she was calling the police. At one point, they were physically fighting over her phone while she dialed 999. And he was calling her crazy. Side note, never call a Karen crazy. It does not end well, my friend. I was standing to the side quietly watching this all unfold. Keys in one hand and phone in the other. While texting my boss what was going on and reminding her she really does not pay me enough to deal with this. Being the absolute champion boss she is, she called and heard some of that chaos going on in the background. Karen's poor husband continued to try and reason with her. There was a little more chat between me and him while she wailed down the phone at the police. She started demanding I go check the rubbish bags. Apparently telling her she was more than welcome to go check them herself. but they were in the skip bins at the back of the building. Was just not the right answer. Eventually, her extremely patient husband got sick of her, so he left. At one point, she shouted at my colleague, who asked her to move so she could finish mopping the floor, which set Karen off again. Her husband reappeared as she was kicking off at me again for stepping in and saying the girl didn't shout at her, and pointing out that after her behavior for the past 20 minutes, she was in no position to decide who is and is not shouting. It was at this point she finally pushed the limit of my patience when she said the words, "I am not leaving until you show me respect. You would treat me differently if I was from this country." Now, something else you should know, I'm not actually from this country either. I might have the local accent, but my birth certificate states something different. I'm also not white, so I take particular offense when someone tries to use a race card in a racist way. Sometimes people are just jerks, and it has nothing to do with the skin color of anyone involved. So my restrained customer persona slipped. I left one of those, "Are you kidding me?" laughs. I said the words, "Did you actually just call me racist?" "Nope, I'm out." While her husband started having a go at her for being ridiculous, I went and grabbed a till and stormed off into the office, half expecting to come back out and find Karen chaining herself to the front door and chanting, "We shall not be moved." About 10 minutes later, 2 wonderful police officers showed up. Karen had suddenly turned into a timid and demure, delicate little victim again while whining about her plight to these guys. They also quickly worked out what was going on. Apparently, the call they got had said it was a domestic incident. It was clearly not a domestic incident. They spent 5 minutes searching the same areas and also found no AirPod in sight and suggested she leave her contact details for us to call her if it turned up in the morning. Karen thought this was a great idea. I pointed to the counter and said the pen and paper were still sitting there from when we offered that same thing an hour before. Granted, it was a childish move, but after hearing the police officers ask him where her child was while she played with the AirPod, my last sliver of understanding and patience evaporated. Turns out Karen had freely given her very expensive, arguably overpriced headphones to her 4-year-old child to play with, then flipped out and called the police when one went missing. Seriously, I can't even begin to explain how livid I was at this point. Needless to say, she was heavily scolded and warned by the police officers. She actually burst into tears, and she is now barred from the premises by orders of my boss. Best boss ever. So, I've started to get into belly socks, butterfly knives, like a couple months ago. I love it very much, and I have a couple of knives. I love to do it in public too, but when I'm around people I always use my crack racking version 2.5, basically a trainer knife so it doesn't have an edge. Today I was walking with my friends and I was playing with my trainer knife as usual, when a kid runs up to me. "Hi, what's that? Can I try it?" The kid was around like 9 or 10. "Sure, but do you have any of your parents here? Because I don't want to get in trouble." "Yeah, my mom is here." And he runs to his mother and comes back a couple of minutes later. "Mom, it's him. He has that thing." The kid was really excited at this point. "Can you show us some tricks, please?" "Sure." So I started to do a couple of easier tricks like a thumb around. "Hey, put that knife away. You're gonna hurt us." "No, I can't do that, even if I wanted to. This is a training knife, so it's fully dull and doesn't have an edge." And then, I grabbed a blade. "Put that away or I'm going to call the police. If you want to, you're going to be the only one who's in trouble." So we waited there until the police arrived. "Yep," she called him. "So, what seems to be the problem here? This young man has a knife and hurt us." Her kid says. "No, he didn't say anything wrong." The police officer turns to me. "Is that true? You've got a knife?" Yes, officer. I've got one in my pocket. It's a butterfly knife, but it's a trainer so it doesn't have an edge. Can you show it to me? Slowly. Sure. And I reached into my pocket and handed it to the officer by the blade. So he sees it doesn't have an edge. Okay, I see no problem here. Thank you, sir. And he started to hand me my knife, but the entitled parent snapped it out of the officer's hand and decided, I don't know why, to slap the officer. Ma'am, put that knife down and put your hands behind your back. Now. But I'm just doing what you can't do. Then she threw my knife full force to the ground. And the rest of the story was that the mother got arrested for lying to an officer, harming him, and damaging someone's property. And me and my friend stayed with the kid until his dad arrived. So without getting too political, we recently had an election in the USA. My aunt supported one side while her husband and adult offspring supported the other side. The election did not go the way my aunt wanted it to. Aunt proceeded to flip her crap, breaking things, yelling, and even going as far as to set her daughter's I voted sticker on fire. Her husband called the cops, declined to arrest her for anything, but suggested that she find a different place to stay for the night. This happened yesterday in New Jersey. Fast forward to 2 a.m. today. Here I am sleeping peacefully in my home with my family, over 500 miles from all that drama. My fence alarm goes off, waking me up. I don't know if it's a bear or a trespasser, so I get my pants on and grab my shotgun just to be safe. Turns out, my aunt cut the locks off my front gate because she couldn't get in, and I wasn't entering my phone. Why did she have bolt cutters in her car? So I safely stow my weapon and ask her what the hell. She starts crying and screaming. Mind you, this is at 2 a.m. in a quiet rural community, about how the devil took her family and they threw her out. And she says that since she has nowhere else to go, I need to let her in, so she can stay in my guest room for a while. I told her one of my guildies is using that room right now. The room is occupied. This person came from Texas all the way to West Virginia to hang out with me. I'm not going to toss them out with 30 seconds of notice because my aunt showed up. So she decides to call the police and tell them that I'm keeping her from entering her home. We're out in the woods, so the cops don't get here quickly. 4:41 in the morning, the cops showed up. I see them talking to her in my driveway. She shows them the bolt cutters and the ruined lock. A few minutes later, the officer knocks on my door. Your tenant claims that. I immediately cut him off and told him that I do not have a tenant. I own and occupy this structure. Then I offered to show him the deed. Well, this woman claims that. I cut him off again. What does the address of her ID say? At this point, the cop is pissed at me. I can tell. So I try to de-escalate the situation. Look man, she doesn't live here. She has never lived here. That's my aunt. She lives in New Jersey. Please check her ID card. The cop calms down a bit and lets me know that he will talk to her and then comes back. 10 minutes later, the cops come back to my door. 3 of them this time. Not just the one from earlier. One of them had stripes and a rocker on his arm. He asks me if there is any way Aunt can stay here for the night. Because she's too drunk to drive, so he can't let her back on the road. This woman just drove from New Jersey to West Virginia drunk. Thank God she didn't kill anyone. I told him that she cannot stay here, but that I'm sure there is room in the local jail. The cop asks me if she can just sleep in her car in my driveway and leave in the morning. I told him absolutely not. When she wakes up in the morning, I would just have to call him to get her off of my property, so that would solve nothing, and I ask him to remove her from my property. Long story short, her car got towed and she is in a drunk tank for the night. I was a witness to this a long time ago and the results were learned by word of mouth. Once upon a time, there was a kid. Let's call him Marco. Marco was your everyday kid. A little skinny. I remember him being slightly geeky, and if you left your pins unattended, he'd disassemble them before you turned back around in your seat at times. He was nice, polite, and fairly helpful. This was middle school. One day though, he does it to a bully, and let's call him Polo. Polo is huge but was fat. He looks like if you drill 3 holes into him, a giant could use him for bowling. He's not nice, he's not handsome, and he's got a posse of equally disgusting friends who all gang up together to bully others. I suspect that if they hadn't ganged up with each other, they would have been bullied. Perhaps they have been in the past and got a taste of power over others when they ganged up. I don't know. I kept to myself. One day, I saw Marco with a swollen eye and wet hair. He's limping a bit too and his backpack is ripped. I ask him what the hell happened and turns out Polo threw him into a bathroom stall by his backpack which ripped. The toilet got him in a knee and Polo shoved his face into the water bashing his eye into the seat. I asked why Polo had done this to him and he says, I took his pin apart. It was just a big crystal or some cheap pin like that. Things escalate over the next few weeks. Eventually, Marco has to take time off when Polo strips him naked in the bathroom except for his boxers and makes him shove them into the toilet. The school, being full of your typical jerks, tries to expel Marco for damage to school property and does nothing to Polo. This is taught by video evidence of the gang leaving the bathroom, laughing and rifling through Marco's backpack, then tossing it in the trash. When Marco comes back, he's different. He's not happy. He's quite subdued and he doesn't talk to anyone and bruises magically appear on him between classes. He withdraws into himself and begins to look positively skeletal. Of course, no one at the school does anything except one nice jock. He comes across Polo stealing Marco's backpack and Polo into a trash can. Of course, he's suspended. But does it again when he comes back. The teachers give up on suspending the jerk after his parents threaten to sue. The fact that someone bothered to stand up for him, though, seems to have given life back to Marco. He starts opening back up and putting weight back on, which is very good. One day, though, he's wearing a scarf, a very special, beautiful knitted scarf. His grandfather had knitted for him. Yes, grandfather before he died. Polo steals it and comes back the next day with a bag of ashes, handing it to Marco. And he laughs hysterically. Marco comes back the next day with a backpack full of sugar-free Haribo gummy bears. Polo, being the glutton that he is, steals every single bag of bears and eats them by the throughout the day. Marco cries. But I remember something in his sobs didn't quite reach his eyes. Near the end of the school day, Polo lurches out of the classroom and pulls for the bathroom. He doesn't come back the next day. Or the next. Someone says they saw blood in the bathroom. Polo comes back a few days later with an eye patch and mottled, fading bruises all across his face. I believe it's called petechiae eye. He's permanently blind in his left eye and bruising makes him look like a ripening fruit for as long as it lasts. He's in and out of school for doctor's appointments for a while. He did not mess with Marco again and instead became very introverted and quiet. The reports of blood in the toilet of the bathroom he went to were never confirmed. But it's quite likely. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Wow, what an emotional journey that was. If you enjoyed these unbelievable real-life stories and want to hear more, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know if you have any jaw-dropping stories of your own. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming episodes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one on Josiah. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, you're go-to storyteller for tales that unravel the complex tapestry of relationships, family dynamics, and the unexpected twists life throws our way. Today, I have a story that's both heart-wrenching and empowering. It's titled, My 20-Year Marriage Was a Lie, Walked In on My Wife and Her Secret Lover. This is a tale of love, betrayal, and ultimately, the resilience of the human spirit. Buckle up, because this one is going to take you on an emotional roller coaster. Been married to Sarah for 20 years. College sweethearts, the whole 9 yards. Built a good life together. Nice house, great kid. Thought we had it all. Well, guess what? Turns out happily ever after can take a sharp turn at, never saw that coming, lame. Booked a surprise flight back early from a business trip. Thought I'd surprise Sarah with takeout and a movie night. Key in the door, expecting the usual flickering TV, smell of her jasmine candles. Hit with silence instead. Empty house. Weird. Stomach started churning. Checked the bedrooms. Master door was unlocked. A sliver of light peeked out. Pushed the door open slowly. There it was. Like a scene from a bad soap opera. Sarah. Tangled in the sheets, with some random dude. Rage? Yeah. There was rage. But mostly, a cold emptiness. Didn't yell. Didn't scream. Just a strangled noise that escaped my throat. The dude scrambled out of bed, fumbled for his clothes, and bolted. Sarah? Tears, apologies, a babbling mess. Didn't hear a word. Just stood there, the picture of betrayal hanging in the air. That's when the plan started forming. Didn't want a screaming match, throwing things. Needed to be clear-headed, strategic. Feigned acceptance, told her we'd talk in the morning. Spent the night on the couch, the image of them burned into my brain. Morning light brought a strange kind of calm. Pretended everything was normal while secretly gathering evidence. Phone records, receipts, anything to prove what happened. Hired a lawyer, a shark. The kind who takes no prisoners, especially cheating spouses. Sarah noticed the lawyer. Panic set in. She tried talking, pleading. Didn't care. The truth would come out, and she'd pay. The lawyer was good. Found hidden bank accounts, a trail of secret art sales Sarah had been keeping from me. Turns out, while I was grinding away at work, she was playing the starving artist with a secret stash. The divorce was brutal. Exposed the affair in court filings. Sarah became the town pariah. The other guy vanished without a trace. Justice, in a way. Got full custody of our son. He needed stability, away from the wreckage of our marriage. Sold the house, a fresh start for both of us. It wasn't easy. Therapy sessions helped me and my son navigate the emotional fallout. Leaned on old friends for support. Slowly, tentatively, started dating again. Met someone new recently. She's kind, funny, everything Sarah wasn't at the end. Still a work in progress, but I'm moving on. Learned a harsh lesson, but one that made me stronger. There's life after betrayal, and sometimes, revenge is best served cold, calculated, and with a killer lawyer by your side. Life with a newborn wasn't easy, but it was good. Sleepless nights, mountains of laundry, the usual. Sarah seemed happy, the baby healthy. Then things started changing, slowly at first. Remember that whole, focusing on her art career, thing? Seemed forgotten. No more late nights in the studio, paints collecting dust. Work became my world. Climbing the corporate ladder to support our growing family. Didn't mind. That's what husbands do, right? Then came the weird stuff. Little things at first. Unexplained charges on the credit card. A new perfume I didn't recognize clinging to her clothes. Ignored it. Figured I was just tired. Big mistake. The late nights, working on art, started. Calls taken with hushed voices, out of earshot. Missed dinners. Excuses that never quite fit. I tried talking to her, asking what was wrong. Just brushed me off, said I was overreacting. One night, I came home to an empty house. No Sarah, no baby, just a cold, gnawing feeling in my gut. Called her phone, went straight to voicemail. That's when the suspicion really hit. Where was she? With who? The next morning, Sarah waltzed in like nothing was wrong. Tried to play it cool, but the guilt was etched on her face. Confronted her, demanded the truth. Stuttered excuses, tears, the whole drama queen routine. Didn't buy it. Something bigger was going on. That's when I knew this wasn't just a rough patch. This was betrayal, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. Didn't yell. Didn't scream. Just a quiet determination settled in my gut. Sarah would regret the day she messed with our family. The game was on. Those late-night art meetings were starting to grate on me. Came home one night, expecting the usual takeout containers littering the counter. Sarah hunched over a canvas with paint-splattered overalls. Nope. Empty house. Silence so thick you could cut it with a knife. Checked her studio untouched. No paints, no brushes, just a layer of dust. A knees coiled in my gut. Where was she? Called her phone again. Voicemail for the third night in a row. Texted. Where are you? One word reply. Busy. Busy with what? That was the question gnawing at my sanity. The next morning, Sarah breezed in, all smiles and apologies. Claimed she'd been at a committee meeting that ran late. Committee meeting? For her art club that didn't exist anymore? My patience was wearing thin. Committee meeting, huh? My voice was flat, emotionless. Sarah's smile faltered. Yeah, for the, upcoming gallery show. Liar. There was no gallery show. I knew it, and she knew I knew it. Didn't press her then, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Started noticing other things. Those little unexplained charges on the credit card? More frequent now, and for things Sarah would never buy: fancy restaurants, jewelry stores. The phone calls. Always on mute. Always hushed whispers when I walked into the room. The lingering scent of a cologne I didn't recognize. These weren't random occurrences. This was a pattern, and the picture it painted wasn't pretty. One evening, Sarah left her phone unattended. Stupid mistake. A notification popped up, a text from an unknown number. My heart hammered in my chest. Curiosity, or maybe a morbid sense of dread, took over. Clicked on the message. It was short, just a few words, but enough to shatter my world. Can't wait to see you tonight, beautiful. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a late art meeting or a committee dinner. This was something far worse. The truth was staring me in the face, and I knew then my life was about to change forever. The lingering scent of that cologne was driving me crazy. It wasn't just on her clothes anymore. It seemed to cling to her like a second skin. Asked her about it. Said it was a new art supply. She was trying. Yeah, right. Art supplies don't smell like expensive cologne shops. Then came the weekend getaway. Need some inspiration for a new piece, she said, booking a cabin in the woods for herself. Didn't like it, but what could I say? Maybe some time alone would clear her head. The empty house felt strange, a hollow echo of the life we once had. Missed Sarah. Missed our son, but mostly missed the feeling of normalcy. The conference dragged on, presentations and meetings blurring together. Just wanted to get back home, get some answers. Booked an earlier flight, a surprise for Sarah. Figured a home-cooked meal and a movie night might mend things. Landed. Grabbed takeout, keys in hand, picturing a cozy evening. Nope. Reality check time. Walked in the door, expecting the usual flickering TV, smell of her jasmine candles. Hit with silence instead. Empty house. Same feeling of dread as before. Where was she? With who? This time, I wasn't going to let it slide. Checked the bedroom, then the bathroom. Nothing. But then, a glimmer of hope, her phone was on the kitchen counter, screen lit up. Stupid mistake number 2. Picked it up, heart pounding. The same text message notification from before. Clicked on it, bracing myself. This time, it wasn't just a few words. It was a full-blown conversation, a lovey-dovey exchange that made my stomach churn. Didn't need to read the whole thing. Enough was enough. The pieces of the puzzle finally clicked into place. The late nights, the perfume, the weekend getaway. It was all there, black and white, a digital betrayal staring me in the face. Anger surged through me, hot and potent. But then, a cold logic settled in. Panic wouldn't help. Needed a plan. Needed revenge. Served cold and calculated. Sarah had shattered our life, and I wouldn't let her get away with it. The game was on, and this time, I was playing to win. Didn't even slam the phone down. Just stared at the screen, the sickening confirmation burning into my brain. Betrayal. Raw and unfiltered. My wife, in our bed, with another man. The life I thought we had, shattered in a million pieces. First came the rage. Blind, primal fury that choked the air out of my lungs. Wanted to scream, to tear things apart. But then, something unexpected happened. The rage receded, replaced by a cold, steely calm. Dangerous calm. Sarah walked in then, all smiles and, "How was your trip?" Didn't flinch. Just played along, the evidence burning a hole in my pocket. Needed to keep her off guard, buy time for my plan. Good, I said, voice flat. Early flight, figured I'd surprise you. Her smile faltered for a second, just a flicker of unease I didn't miss. The next few days were a blur. We slept in separate rooms, a tense silence hanging heavy in the air. Sarah kept trying to talk, to explain. Ignored her. Didn't need her lies, not anymore. Focused on gathering proof. Downloaded phone records, checked credit card statements. Hired a lawyer, a shark my friend recommended. The kind who takes no prisoners, especially cheating spouses. Costly, but worth every penny. The lawyer was good. Found hidden bank accounts, a trail of secret art sales Sarah had been keeping from me. Turns out, while I was grinding away at work, supporting our family, she was playing the starving artist with a secret stash. Livid doesn't even begin to describe it. The confrontation was anticlimactic. The lawyer laid out the evidence, cold and hard. Sarah crumbled, tears streaming down her face. Didn't feel a shred of pity, just a deep-seated disgust. The divorce was brutal. Exposed the affair in court filings, let the town know what she'd done. She became the town pariah, the scorned wife. Karma, I guess. The other guy vanished without a trace, probably for the best. Got full custody of our son. He needed stability, away from the wreckage of our marriage. Sold the house, a fresh start for both of us. It wasn't easy, but I survived. Therapy sessions helped me and my son navigate the emotional fallout. Leaned on old friends for support. Slowly, tentatively, started dating again. Met someone new recently. She's kind, funny, everything Sarah wasn't at the end. Still a work in progress, but I'm moving on. Learned a harsh lesson, but one that made me stronger. There's life after betrayal, and sometimes, revenge is best served cold, calculated, and with a killer lawyer by your side. Don't let anyone mess with you or your family. Fight back. That's what I did. The silence after Sarah's breakdown was deafening. No tears, no apologies, just a whimpered plea for forgiveness. Didn't even look at her. Didn't deserve eye contact. The betrayal was a fresh wound, raw and throbbing. But something else bubbled beneath the hurt, a cold, steely resolve. She might have shattered my trust, but she wouldn't break me. No way. Didn't want a screaming match, throwing things. Needed a clear head, a plan. Feigned acceptance. Mumbled something about needing sleep. Crawled into bed on the couch, the image of them burned into my brain. Sleep wouldn't come. Mind racing, piecing things together. The perfume, the late nights, working on art, the distance I'd tried to ignore. It all fit now. A sickening puzzle clicking into place. Next morning, woke up with a newfound purpose. This wasn't about yelling or crying. This was about getting out, getting even, and protecting my son. She'd played me for a fool, but not anymore. First order of business evidence. Started small, discreetly. Downloaded phone records, checked credit card statements. Anything that could prove her infidelity. Built a case, brick by brick. Then came the lawyer. Called a friend, got a recommendation. Someone tough, I said, someone who takes no prisoners. He laughed and gave me a number. Met with the lawyer the next day. Sharp guy, expensive as heck, but his eyes held a steely glint that matched my mood. Laid out the situation, the evidence I'd gathered. He listened, took notes, a small smile playing on his lips. We can make her life a living hell, he said, his voice calm but firm. Exactly what I wanted to hear. Didn't care about revenge for revenge's sake, but she needed to pay. For the betrayal, the lies, the disrespect. The following weeks were a blur. Lawyer meetings, digging up dirt, strategizing. Sarah noticed the change, the steely glint in my eyes. Tried talking, pleading again. Ignored her. This wasn't about her anymore. The day the divorce papers hit her was priceless. Shock, then anger, then a desperate scramble. Too late. The evidence was there, cold and hard. The lawyer had unearthed hidden bank accounts. A secret stash of money Sarah had squirreled away from her, starving artist, act. Livid doesn't even begin to describe it. The divorce wasn't pretty, but it was mine. Full custody of my son, the house sold, a clean break. A new beginning. Away from the wreckage of our marriage. It wasn't easy, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Stay tuned. There's more to this story. The lawyer called it financial warfare. Didn't care what they called it. Point was, Sarah wouldn't mess with me anymore. Changed all the bank passwords, froze our joint accounts. She could scream all she wanted, but the money train had stopped. We were living under the same roof, but it might as well have been different planets. Slept on the couch, ate microwave dinners. She'd try talking, pleading, but I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. The only words that passed between us were the ones relayed through lawyers. The divorce filing hit her like a ton of bricks. Full custody, the house on the market. The lawyer didn't hold back. Then came the kicker. He exposed the affair in the court documents. Public humiliation, he called it. Savage, but effective. News travels fast in a small town. The whispers started, then the stares, then the full-blown gossip. Sarah couldn't leave the house without someone pointing fingers. The other guy in the picture? Vanished without a trace. Coward. Didn't feel any pleasure in her pain, not really. But there was a strange sense of satisfaction. She'd betrayed me, our family, and now everyone knew. Karma, I guess. The divorce itself was a blur. Lawyers argued. Papers were signed. A judge finalized things with a slam of his gavel. Sold the house quickly, a fresh start for both of us. Except, mine would be fresh and clean, hers, well, let's just say the town wouldn't forget anytime soon. Got full custody of my son, the most important thing in all of this. He was confused, scared at first. Therapy sessions helped, along with a ton of patience and reassurance. Slowly, we started rebuilding our lives, piece by broken piece. There were lonely nights, of course. Empty chair at the dinner table, the silence echoing in the house. But there were good days too, filled with laughter and board games, the simple joys of father and son. Then, one day, something unexpected happened. Met someone new at a local coffee shop. She was kind, funny, everything Sarah wasn't at the end. We started talking, then going out for coffee more often. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for happiness again. It's been a long road, full of twists and turns. But I learned a valuable lesson. Life throws you curveballs, but you gotta keep swinging. Now, with my son by my side and a bright future ahead, I can finally say this. I'm moving on. And Sarah? Well, let's just say she's a chapter in my life that's permanently closed. The lawyer called with an update, a smirk in his voice. Found a little surprise, he said. Turns out, Sarah's starving artist act was a bigger lie than I thought. He'd uncovered a trail of secret art sales, hidden bank accounts, years' worth of hidden income. Blood pressure spiked, but the lawyer just chuckled. This changes everything, he said. He was right. With this new evidence, the divorce settlement took a sharp turn. Significantly sharper assets ended up on my side of the table. Sarah? Well, let's just say she walked away empty-handed, besides the clothes on her back. Didn't feel sorry for her, not one bit. She played me for a fool, used me as a financial crutch while squirreling away money for her secret life. Now, she could reap what she sowed. The custody battle was the toughest part. Sarah put on a show, the devoted mother act. But the lawyer saw through it, and so did the judge. My son, bless his confused little heart, just wanted things to go back to normal. Therapist reports, school records, even Sarah's erratic behavior during the hearings, it all painted a clear picture. The judge's decision was music to my ears. Full custody to me, Sarah got visitation rights, but supervised. A bitter victory, but a victory nonetheless. Sold the house, a place filled with too many memories, both good and bad. New beginnings for both of us, I suppose. Except, mine would be with a clean slate and a happy son by my side. Hers? Well, the town wouldn't forget her little escapade anytime soon. Single fatherhood wasn't easy, but it was rewarding. School plays, soccer games, scraped knees, all the little moments that mattered. My son was healing, slowly but surely. The therapist said it would take time, but seeing him smile again, genuinely smile, made it all worth it. Then, life surprised me again. Met someone new at a local coffee shop. She was kind, funny, everything Sarah wasn't at the end. We started talking, then going out for coffee more often. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for happiness again. This whole ordeal changed me. More cautious, yes, but not cynical. I learned a harsh lesson, but one that made me stronger. Life throws curveballs, but you gotta keep swinging. And sometimes, when you least expect it, good things come your way. So, here's to new beginnings, to second chances, and to finally moving on. The road ahead is clear, and for the first time in a long time, I feel optimistic. And to Sarah, thanks for the reminder that even in the darkest moments, there's always light on the other side. Wow, what a journey! If you found this story as gripping as I did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Also, hit the bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay strong, stay resilient, and remember, even in the darkest moments, there's always a light at the end. Welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the most intense and jaw-dropping stories about relationships, family dynamics, and the struggles we face in society. Today, we have a story that will leave you absolutely stunned. Imagine being in a marriage for 15 years, trusting your spouse implicitly, only to find out she was cheating on you while you were recovering from a serious injury. Not only that, but she also tried to use her position as an attorney to threaten and belittle you in court. Join me as we unravel this shocking tale titled, "My Attorney Wife Cheated on Me While I Was Recovering from Surgery and Threatened Me in Court." This story is called "Accident Attorney Gets Hammered for Her Infidelity." I actually thought I would never be on a forum, but here I am sharing my story of my wife of 15 years, who is a prominent accident attorney who had caught cheating on me with another attorney. I don't have any kids. She has a daughter from a previous relationship who shares a place with another woman. My wife never married and I am in my second marriage. My wife is 46 and I am 48. She had this attitude that she was invincible because she was an attorney and the judge would see things her way. Our bedroom life went straight to zero. Once I got injured on my job, I work construction and most of the time our jobs are seasonal. So when work is slow, I have to take odd jobs to make up for the lost wages. My wife was very supportive and attentive in the beginning. I wasn't mobile as much, and I had to depend on her in the beginning stages after many surgeries. My injury was, I fell from a scaffolding and broke my left arm and left leg and foot. I was in the hospital for a few weeks and had to have surgery to repair my arm, which they placed a metal rod in it. And in my leg, they had to put a steel plate and 6 screws. It was a very long process of healing. I was out of work for almost 2 years. My wife had to take on a lot more cases because we had bills that still had to be paid. She started working longer hours and sometimes she wouldn't come home until late at night. I would already be in bed because I was on so many different pain medications that I couldn't stay up later than 9 p.m. She would come home. Sometimes she would be in a bad mood and I would ask her what was wrong. And she would say that she was just tired from working all day. I started to notice little things that were odd. Like she would wear this perfume that I had never seen her wear before. And when I would ask her what it was, she would say, "Oh, I just found it at the store and I liked it, so I bought it. I also noticed that she was taking more showers than usual and she started working out more. I didn't think anything of it. After all, as a prominent accident attorney, she was swamped with accident cases. When she started her law career, she started out making almost $85,000 a year. Now, she has surpassed $150,000 a year and she has carried the load for us for the last 2 years. I never made as much money as she did. I made pretty decent money, but nowhere near my wife. My wife was the first to go to college in her family, and she was the first to become an attorney. And she was very proud of her accomplishments. I am very proud of her too, but I started to feel like I was not good enough for her because I didn't have a college degree and I felt like she was always working and I was just sitting at home, not doing anything. Over the last couple of months, I started noticing she would come home and text on her phone a lot. I really didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe she was talking to one of the other attorneys regarding the case or one of her girlfriends. One night when my wife came home from work, we talked for a little bit. Then she said she was going to take a shower and she left her phone on the kitchen counter. I usually don't look at her phone, but I did this time to my surprise. I couldn't get in. She had a password on it. My heart started beating fast because she has never had her phone locked the entire time we have been married. The next day, when my wife went to work, I asked a good friend of mine to come over to my place so I could talk to him. I told him what happened and he said, if you suspect something, don't make any accusations without proof. Don't make the mistake I did. Then he said, listen, if you want, we can put a GPS tracker in our car to see if she is up to something, or you could hire a private investigator. I told him, no, I am not hiring a private investigator. I can't afford one. We agreed on the GPS tracker and decided when she came home, we would do it late at night while she was asleep. Well, my friend would install it. We have a 3-car garage that sits away from the house a little. The few days pass and my friend installed the GPS tracker app on my phone, and I didn't notice anything suspicious the first 3 days she was at work and the tracker showed her leaving work and coming straight home on the 4th night. That's when my suspicions were confirmed. My friend had come over a little after 9 p.m. and I made a comment to him that my wife is usually home by now. The first thing my friend said was, check the app. The GPS tracker showed that my wife was not at her job. She was in a residential area in a wealthy neighborhood that I knew she didn't have any business being in. I told my friend to drive there. We drove around the neighborhood until we saw her car parked in the driveway of a large home. We waited for about 30 minutes. Then we saw my wife walking towards the car. She was carrying a garment bag and a small suitcase. She put them in the trunk of her car. Then she got in the car and drove off. We followed her to a hotel. We waited for about an hour. Then we saw her come out of the hotel with a man. They were laughing and joking. And they all of a sudden kissed each other. My friend, who thinks fast on his feet, whipped out his phone and took a photo and a small video clip of them kissing. He looked over at me and said, I am sorry, man. I had tears in my eyes. I was in shock. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I told him it was okay. I needed to see it with my own eyes to believe it. We sat there and watched as they got in her car and drove off. We followed them to a restaurant and we watched as they went inside. As they were walking into the restaurant, this man had his hands on my wife's butt. My friend just shook his head. I was fuming, but I couldn't do anything with a bum leg and bum arm from my fall. I told myself right then and there, I need to get a grip and start taking care of what I needed to. My friend told me if I needed a place to stay, I can stay with him until I get on my feet again. As the days went by, my friend and I continued to spy on my wife and get as much video and photos as we could. We later found out that the guy she was seeing is another attorney who works with her and he is married as well. But we both wondered where his wife was, come to find out his wife is in the hospital fighting COVID. So, my plan was to call an attorney here in Georgia, and he opened my eyes a little. First thing he said to me was, if you file for divorce and you sleep with your wife, after you have filed, you won't get any alimony. I said to him, why is that? He said, if you sleep with her and you know she has cheated, you will not get any alimony. It means you have forgiven her. So, what do you want to do? I told the attorney to go ahead and start the divorce process. And I would be filing for alimony as well. I immediately got on the phone with my friend and asked him to meet me at my house to help me pack some things while my wife was at work. She has been coming home late anyway, so we had time. I get to my house and my friend is already there. I just took most of my clothes, my computer and some other odds and ends and followed him to his place. At about 1:16 in the morning, my wife sends me a text and asks where I am. I don't respond. I just let her wonder. To my surprise, when I didn't respond to her text, she didn't reach out anymore. Maybe she knew something was up, I don't know. The next morning, my attorney calls me and says that my wife will be served with divorce papers soon, and he asked me what my living status was. I told him that I moved out of the house temporarily and I have not slept with my wife since I found out. Later in the day, my wife calls me, I don't answer and she left a voicemail asking me to please call her. She is worried about me. I am thinking, BS, she isn't worried about me. I simply called her back and told her I knew she has been cheating on me and I filed for divorce. She was blown away and she denied it. Of course, I told her I had proof and hung the phone up. Over the next few weeks, my wife was served with divorce papers. She was highly upset and told me in a text, good luck getting anything in the divorce. She displayed a side of her I never knew existed. She was saying, I am a lawyer, I will make sure you don't get anything, you are nothing without me, just belittling me. At the divorce hearing, my lawyer presented evidence that my wife was cheating. She had a divorce lawyer as well, so he couldn't refute it. To make a long story short, I got spousal support for 7 years in the amount of $3,500 a month. My now ex-wife was livid. She thought just because she was an attorney, she would get her way. The judge also gave me 30 days to get the rest of my things out of the house. It only took me 2 days. My friend had a big enough home that I could put things in. His father had recently passed away and left him millions. And my friend also owned 2 coffee shops. I didn't care about the house. She could have it. And she made enough money to pay the mortgage on it. In the coming weeks, my friend and I learned that the wife of my now ex-wife recovered from her battle with COVID and found out that my ex-wife was having an affair with her husband. She went to their law firm and confronted them both in front of the other attorneys. They didn't get fired, but they were both reprimanded. And my ex-wife was told that if anything like this ever happens again, she will be fired. The law firm didn't take kindly to that type of publicity. I found out in the craziest way. The wife of my ex-wife's AP called me one day and told me everything. I couldn't believe it, and to top off the crazy stuff, my ex-wife sent me a text, wanting to talk and offered to cook me dinner. I read the text and deleted it. Since the divorce and finding this all out, I have been getting better with my mobility, exercising more to regain my strength. My friend, who is a godson, offered me a job to help him run his 2 coffee shops. So, things are looking up for me. I won't be ready to date anyone for a few months. I am not mentally ready for that. I don't think I can trust any woman right now. Thank you everyone for all of the encouraging comments. If you enjoyed the story, please like, comment, and consider subscribing to the channel for more content. I sincerely appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. If this story struck a chord with you, please give this video a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update on our latest stories. Until next time, stay strong and take care. Welcome back to our channel, where we delve into the extraordinary stories of everyday people navigating through life's challenges. Today, I have a tale that's sure to grip your heart and leave you on the edge of your seat. It's a story of betrayal, resilience, and ultimately, triumph. In Exposed, my husband's shocking betrayal led to a miraculous comeback. The story of how I fought back will follow the journey of Madison, a woman who faced unimaginable hurdles in her marriage but refused to be defeated. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired by Madison's unwavering courage and determination. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on another captivating story. Now, let's embark on this incredible journey together. Our daughter has passed away. In a somber voice, my mother conveyed this to my husband over the phone. What? Our daughter? You mean, Madison? Yes, my daughter. Your wife, Madison? She's gone. Even over the phone, I could tell that my husband was in a state of shock. My husband's actions towards me had been incredibly cruel. Now is the time for him to face the consequences. My name is Madison, a 35-year-old housewife. I was raised with my younger sister under the care of our father, who worked as a bus driver, and our stay-at-home mother. My father was always kind, and my mother had a gentle personality. So our family relationships were good. My responsible younger sister is still single and focused on her career. Jacob, my husband, and I met at work and fell in love. He was tall, handsome, and kind, making him quite popular among our colleagues. As a plain and timid person, it didn't take long for me to fall for him. When he approached me, according to him, he preferred someone with a good personality rather than someone glamorous. Soon after, we got married, and I became a housewife to support my husband. We were blessed with a daughter named Lily soon after. With the financial assistance from my parents, we were able to build a nice house. I should have been at the height of happiness. That is, until I discovered my husband's true nature. After our daughter was born, my husband's attitude gradually became more arrogant. First, he stopped calling me by my name. Hey! Whenever he had something to say, he would address me like this. After giving birth, I struggled to lose weight, and my husband started mocking me. Aren't you ashamed of having that kind of figure? You chubby old lady. Around this time, my husband started coming home late at night or early in the morning. I started noticing a scent of perfume on his suit. Since it became a daily occurrence, I finally confronted my husband about it. Taking care of a child is tough for me, too. Instead of going out drinking every day, could you spend more time with our child? Then my husband suddenly became angry and threw a chair at me. I don't drink because I like it. It's part of my job. Why don't you understand? You fat slob. You're the one who has an easy life, doing the same things every day at home. If you have complaints, go on at work. But you can't, can you? My husband shouted at me in a loud voice. After that, I became too afraid to say anything that would anger my husband. At the same time, our monthly living expenses were reduced to only $500. You're just a bored housewife, right? Figure out managing everything with this, okay? Naturally, I couldn't sustain our living with just that. So I started dipping into my savings from when I was single to make ends meet. My life was becoming more difficult day by day. However, when I thought about my younger daughter, I couldn't bring myself to leave the house. But the truth was that I couldn't ignore the pressing need for a solution. Utilizing my design skills from my previous job, I secretly started doing freelance work from home. Before I knew it, I was earning a salary comparable to my husband's. With the financial issues resolved, several years had passed without us divorcing. It was on a certain holiday when Lily turned 3 years old. My husband's phone started ringing while he was in the bath. Unusually, he had left it out on the desk. I ignored it at first, but it kept ringing persistently. So I quietly peeked and saw a woman's name on the screen. I realized that my husband had another woman. When my husband came out of the bath, I calmly told him, "Your phone was ringing." I could tell that my husband's expression changed. "Did you look at my phone?" "Huh? No, I didn't." I lied to my husband as naturally as possible. In response, my husband entered the bedroom with a disgruntled expression. Unconsciously, tears started streaming down my face. I thought to myself, I can't let it end like this. I started secretly recording conversations with my husband using an IC recorder during this time. Furthermore, I hired a private investigator and obtained solid evidence of his infidelity. When our daughter turned 5 years old, the decisive event finally happened. Even now, thinking about it terrifies me. There was an abnormal increase in days when my husband wouldn't come home. He would always claim it was due to business trips. But as someone who worked in the same company, I knew there were no such business trips in his department. What an insult. I had reached my limit with him. Going to see his affair partner even while lying with a lie that I could easily see through. During this time, I seriously contemplated divorce. That morning, my husband suddenly announced while coming down the stairs that he had to go on a business trip. Since there wouldn't be any decent meals at home, I might as well eat something good on my business trip. With his snide remark, I finally exploded with anger. "What did you say? What do you mean there won't be any decent meals? Stop joking. I make dinner every day, even though you rarely bother to eat it. And where do you go while claiming it's a business trip? I have the evidence that you..." The moment I said that, my husband flew into a rage. "Shut up. Stop saying unnecessary things." He said that and pushed me forcefully. My husband looked down at me, sprawled on the floor, and I easily left the house. I was surprised by the sudden turn of events as my head hit the floor. However, shortly after, my consciousness started fading little by little, and everything before me turned completely dark. When I regained awareness, I found myself on a hospital bed. My daughter and parents were looking at me with worried expressions. "Mommy, are you okay? Lily, did you help me, honey?" As I tried to hastily get up, pain shot through my entire body, according to my parents. Miraculously, the injuries were not severe, and they said I could be discharged the same day. Yeah, I called Daddy because Mommy got hurt. I told Daddy to come back, but Daddy said he couldn't because of work. So, I called Grandma. Taking over for our tearful daughter, my mother continued. So, I called the ambulance. I was really scared, you know. What happened, Madison? I asked the nurse to take my daughter outside the hospital room. Then I confided my parents about the countless cruel things I had endured from my husband. Both of them listened subtly, and then my father spoke. "I see. You don't have to endure anymore. Come back home. And we need to settle things with him properly." By revealing everything to my parents, I finally made up my mind to put an end to this marriage. Our family held a meeting right there and decided to launch a big act of litigation against my husband. The next day, my husband called my cell phone. My mother answered the call. "Our daughter has passed away." My mother delivered the news to my husband in a solemn voice. The phone was on speaker mode. Of course. I was also recording the conversation. What? Our daughter, you mean Madison? Yes, my daughter. Your wife, Madison. She's gone. I could sense my husband's panic even through the phone. My mother continued to pile on him. It seems that she fell and hit her head hard on the floor. Do you have any idea what could have caused it? No. Then my husband, with a faint voice of tears, said, she was as cheerful as usual this morning. Why did this happen? I suppressed the urge to scream. You're lying, bitch. Anyway, where are you? My mother interrogated my husband with anger. Well, you see, I'm currently on a business trip. It will take me half a day to get back home. Come back immediately, then. We're going home with our daughter now. My mother hung up the phone after saying that. We hurriedly made our way back home. At the same time, I quickly gathered the evidence of his past infidelity, including the voice recorder, and consulted with a lawyer. While I was at it, I checked our bank accounts and life insurance policies and confirmed that my husband hadn't made any changes yet. Preparing for a confrontation with my husband, I evacuated my daughter to my sister's house and waited for my husband's return with my parents. After a while, my husband arrived home. What? Who is she? Suddenly, I widened my eyes in disbelief. To my astonishment, my husband returned home accompanied by another woman. He, who had been informed of my death, was left speechless by the fact that I was still alive. Madison? You're alive? Why? More importantly, who is that person? What? You. You can't be serious. Did you deceive me? My husband's voice was filled with shock. Not as much as you did. So, who is that person? Weren't you all supposed to be at your family home? What are you talking about? This is my home, isn't it? Forget about that for now. Who is that person? No, it's not like that. This is someone from a business deal. Just as my husband started to explain, I laid out the evidence of his affair that I had obtained through a private investigator on the table. According to my investigation, this person seems to be a woman in these photos. What is this? They are probably fake photos or something. Fake, you say? Well, why don't you take a look at the dates on the photos? And this is what I wrote in my diary. My husband is on a business trip. When I called the company, they said he took paid leave. Who was deceiving whom? You have some nerves, ain't that? Then why is she here today? All of the haze. Well, there was a matter that needed attention. Just as my husband was about to respond, the woman interrupted. I'm Anna. I've been dating Jacob with the intention of getting married. Are you Jacob's older sister? What? His sister? I'm Jacob's wife. Surprised by my response, she spoke in a shocked voice. Wife. Jacob told me that he lives with his sister. What are you talking about? I'm his wife. As I responded with disbelief, my husband started to look frightened. However, even in this situation, my husband stumbled and attempted a feeble counterattack. Well, there's a reason for this. I'll explain later. I promise. It seemed like she understood the situation by now. Jacob, you told me that your sister has passed away, didn't you? What does it mean that you have a wife? She confronted my husband fiercely. I also immediately confronted my husband. For these past few years, you've been cheating on me behind my back. And you even pushed me and caused me injury. Huh? Jacob? Did you really do such a terrible thing to your wife? Unbelievable. So the same thing could happen to me too, right? Anna said with a half-exasperated expression. True. I love you. I really do. Love her? So that means you admit to cheating on me, right? I joined in the confrontation. No, it's just that. So this is what they call a chaotic situation. My husband panicked, but I remained calm. My parents were looking at my husband with even colder and more distant gazes. There was not a trace of love left for him within me. Divorce. Let's end this and go our separate ways. I'll also break up with him. Simultaneously, Anna and I discarded my husband on the spot. Just pushing me alone is already a serious crime. Furthermore, there is evidence of your infidelity. So be prepared for a huge amount of compensation. To think you were a married man. I truly despise you from the bottom of my heart. I also demand a suitable apology from you. So be prepared for that. Anna was also furious and directed her anger towards my husband. In response, my husband brazenly started making desperate excuses. It's not my fault that medicine fell on the floor. She tripped on her own. Do you have any evidence that I pushed her? Is there anything to prove it? In disbelief at my husband's attitude, I took out an IC recorder. It contained a vivid recording of a sound when he pushed me. In addition, all the past awful remarks he made towards me are perfectly recorded here. There's no escaping from it anymore. You idiot. Furthermore, Anna added, I have email evidence as well. It proves that we met at a matchmaking party. And that he referred to you as his sister. Unable to make any more excuses, my husband finally lost his temper. Shut up, you fat cow. If you were gone, I was planning to be with Anna using your life insurance. She is the daughter of an executive from a business partner. If we got married, my promotion was guaranteed. It's all your fault, Madison. My husband started throwing whatever was within reach at me and even attempted to grab me. At that moment, my father swiftly restrained him in a stranglehold. My father is skilled in judo. Then, with my husband immobilized, Anna delivered a double slap to his face. This one is for me, and this one is for Madison. Saying so, she ended with a powerful knee kick to his sensitive area. As he writhed in agony, I whispered quietly to him. Regarding the life insurance, my parents are beneficiaries, considering the worst-case scenario. Either way, he won't get any money from me. By the way, do you remember who the house is registered to? My parents put money into this house, so it's under their name. If you understand, then leave quickly, okay? Anna added fuel to the fire. So, you're dating me because I'm the daughter of an executive. It's a shame things didn't go as you planned. Goodbye. After a while, the divorce with my husband was finalized. I received all the compensation I could get. Instead of my ex-husband leaving, I ended up living with my parents. Subsequently, my husband's relationship with Anna became known at his company, and he was demoted. Naturally, her parents were furious, and they broke up as well. Furthermore, even at his new position, my ex-husband couldn't get along with colleagues and ended up resigning. Anna also demanded compensation, and his retirement funds were nearly depleted. Currently, my ex-husband is in the process of job hunting, unaware of all this. Anna and her parents discussed it, and she ended up apologized to me with a letter and even paid damages. Seeing Anna crying and apologizing to me, even though she wasn't at fault, I honestly felt sorry for her. By the way, she soon met someone through a matchmaking and got married to a genuinely single and sincere man. I was relieved to hear that she was able to marry successfully. As for me, my freelance design work from home was going well, and I succeeded in starting my own company. Initially, it was a small company with a few employees, but our performance steadily grew. Recently, the number of employees has increased significantly, and we plan to buy a building next year to expand the company. As for my daughter, she didn't feel lonely even after her father left. In fact, she strongly recognized him as a bad person who didn't come to help when mommy got hurt and never wanted to see him again. In our peaceful and harmonious days without fights, my daughter seems to be growing happily. The other day, filled with gratitude, I invited my parents and sister on a family trip. Not only we could relax at a leisurely resort, but we also found financial stability and peace of mind. I genuinely felt happy. "Hey mommy, I want a cat," my daughter said while eating a meal during our trip. "A cat? That sounds nice. Well, then let's go find a partner for you, Lily." "Oh, a cat. We love cats too. I wonder what kind of cat would be good." A few weeks after that conversation, a new member joined our family. It was a small and mischievous, adorable kitten. I can still hear my daughter's lively voice playing with the kitten today. After that, more good news followed as my sister got married. She finally met a kind and successful businessman. Moreover, she is expecting a baby. So our home will become even more lively from now on. May these happy days continue for as long as possible. Thank you for sticking with us through this intense and emotional story. If you found it as compelling as we did, make sure to leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories. Hit the notification bell so you're the first to know when we release a new video. Until next time, take care and remember, sometimes, the truth is more terrifying than the... Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm thrilled to have you here for another captivating tale that will tug at your heartstrings and keep you on the edge of your seat. Today's story is one of love, betrayal, and the quest for self-discovery. It's titled "I Went to the Movies and Found a Toddler Watching a Horror Film. What happened next was unbelievable." Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now without further ado, let's go. I went to the movies last night to watch Halloween Ends on opening night. I had just gotten off work and was still in my suit, but I said screw it because I was too lazy to go home and change into more casual clothes and then drive to the movies. I sat down in my seat with my snacks, and during the previews I saw a toddler come into the theater that didn't look old enough for kindergarten yet accompanied by a kid who looked to be in middle school, and then their mother comes into the theater right behind them, and I saw the mother was holding her third kid, an actual baby who couldn't have been an older than 1 year at best. They sit down in the row seats directly below me. The way a theater is built has each row of seats consisting of luxury recliners with walls facing them separating them from the next row down. I couldn't actually see this mother and her kids unless I got out of my seat, stood up to look down on the row at them, or unless they were just entering the theater to sit down. At that point my brain is just screaming, "Are you serious right now? Like, are you really serious with this? You're going to bring a baby and a toddler into a horror movie? Not just any horror movie, mind you, but the horror movie of one of the most terrifying slasher icons, Michael Myers." To say I was already very annoyed that this mother's decision-making was an understatement, because she's not only going to cause her baby and toddler to get seriously scared by bringing them here, but I guess that she also wouldn't be doing anything to calm them down if one or the other started crying or being too loud during the movie. Lo and behold, I was right. Multiple times throughout the first half of the movie the baby started briefly crying or letting out a single loud bitch cry. It was loud enough that you could obviously hear it interrupt the sounds and dialogue of the movie. I was already mad at the woman for her garbage decision making and entitled behavior by bringing in children that shouldn't have been there and were all but guaranteed to interrupt the movie for everyone else. But her not doing anything to quiet them down was the final straw, and just to clarify for everyone who may ask, this mother did not get up even once to take her baby outside a theater to calm it down. This baby was consistently loud and disruptive the whole time the family was there. I got out of the seat and walked out of the theater to a couple of employees outside of that particular theater and explained the situation. They said they would contact their manager to come into the theater and get the woman and her kids to leave. I go back into the theater, and before long 15 or 20 minutes have passed with no sight of the manager or employees in the theater. During that time period, the baby is still loudly whining and crying here and there, once again stopping me from really enjoying the movie. At that point the movie hadn't reached its bloody gory climax, but I was going to wait around until then or afterwards for this to get addressed and risk the chance of that baby and slasher toddler to get scared out of their minds and ruin it for me and everyone else. I got up again and went to talk to the employees again, and that's when they finally got their manager to go into the theater and talk to the woman to get her and her kids to leave. I stood off to the side by the giant hole when you enter the theater watching the movie as a manager and an employee talked with the mother, so I never got to see what actually happened or what was said. The mother and her two younglings had already interrupted the movie enough for me, and I wasn't going to miss another second by focusing on them about to get kicked out. A little over 5 minutes later, the employee came back by me and said they were about to leave the theater. I saw the mother carrying her baby followed by her middle school aged child and the toddler carrying her sippy cup leaving the movie theater. I and everyone else finally got to watch the rest of the movie in peace, which was about another 40 to 45 minutes and just so happened to be the best part of the movie. After the movie was over, I found the manager that kicked the mother and her kids out to thank her for fixing the problem. She told me it was no big deal and that actually legally the mother should have never been allowed to see that movie in the first place. According to the theater's policy, children under 6 old cannot enter R-rated movies after 6 p.m. So the mother shouldn't have been allowed to buy tickets in the first place, considering she had a toddler and a baby was her. However, the employee that sold her the tickets was being trained and didn't know about that policy yet, so he mistakenly sold her the tickets. The manager told me that because of that the mother was entitled to a refund of her movie tickets, which I understood. It didn't matter in the end though, as a toddler and the baby didn't see the goriest and scariest parts of the movie, nor did the best part of the movie get ruined for me and everyone else in that theater. So to start, I love my dogs. I have 2 dogs that I frequently take out for walks even during the pandemic. Both are rescues and have gone through way more hard stuff than I did. I decided to take Josephine, the oldest, out for a walk since Millie, the youngest, is fast asleep. We took the route we usually take when we go out for walks. I then noticed that there is a new donut shop that opened. The donuts looked nice and delicious, so I decided to grab some. Only thing is, no dogs are allowed to go inside, but the owners were nice to leave a spot outside for dogs. It had a bowl full of water as well, so I put Josephine outside. I was inside for like 5 minutes or something since there were like 3 people already there. I was just browsing through Reddit, then I heard my dog scream. Then I saw this lady smacking my dog with her umbrella at full force numerous times. I quickly rush outside and say, "What are you doing, lady?" I then took away Josephine, but she still tried to smack her. She even hit me in the leg a couple times. I kid you not, these are the exact words that came out of this lady's mouth: "Your dog scratched my car." Her car was across the street, by the way, far away from Josephine. She went to this friend and said that I let my dog wander outside without a leash and that she had to chain my dog after she scratched her car. I don't know if you've been following the story, but I chained my dog way before this lady started hitting her. I was legitimately confused. I immediately called the cops and the cops arrived while she was still ranting, and then I had to pay for her car with my insurance. I'm 15 by the way, and I don't know anything about this insurance thing, so the cops intervened and tried to calm the situation down. The lady then decided to play the victim and said that my dog viciously attacked her. My dog did attack her since she was getting hit with an umbrella by a person. She didn't know. The cops pulled her to the side and let her tell her side of the story. I think I heard stuff like my dog scratched her car and attacked her and that she bravely chained my dog. Cops did the same to me, then pulled me to the side, and I got to tell my side of the story. They then asked the shop owner if they could see the cameras outside the shop while I was tending my dog, check in for any wounds. I saw the cops handcuff the lady after they were done watching the footage and forcefully shoved her in the car because she was resisting arrest. She then threatened to sue me for harassment while screaming profanities. 3 days later, no one sued me yet. My dog and I are fine, but she was whimpering all throughout the situation. Sadly, she got traumatized. She's still recovering and we're now doing well. A little update, I was gonna sue her for animal abuse and later found out that she was already in jail for insurance fraud and assault. I don't know about the insurance fraud part, but she apparently tried to push her coworker out of a window, at least that's what I heard, which isn't assault but attempted murder anyway. I didn't continue with the charges because she's serving 5 years in prison now. I would try to sue her and try to extend her sentence, but I don't want to go through a whole process just to make someone's life a lot more miserable. People have lost that last bit of sanity during these troubling times. Okay, so I smoke cigars, mostly cheap factory rejects. But an occasional good one too. I do not smoke in my house or around other people, as I know a very select group of people enjoy that particular aroma. Another point to note here is I drive my youngest to and from school, seeing as the weather in my neck of the woods is bipolar at best. So sitting yesterday afternoon, I parked way outside the school zone in a line to pick up kids, probably a block away in a residential neighborhood. I drive a big truck with a loud exhaust system. The players are me, Karen, and the school principal. I'm in a line of vehicles, engine off, listening to a good book on Audible, smoking the last bit of a good cigar. For those who don't know, a cigar can be sit down and refreshed if need be also. I never smoke on school grounds and always have it out before my kid gets in a truck. It's my truck and no one else drives it, so I don't mind the smell of tobacco, and I have a bottle of Febreze that I use every couple of days anyway. About 5 minutes later, I see a woman gets out of her car and begin to approach me. I watched her walk up past the 2 vehicles behind me and heading my way. She's got a typical Karen look: hair, clothes, way too much makeup and the like. She comes up right on my window and just stands there looking at me. I rolled my window down all the way and asked her if she needed anything, and the dialogue was as follows: "What do you think you're doing?" "Excuse me?" "You're smoking the pot." "Yes." She called it the pot on school grounds. "You should be ashamed of yourself. What are you talking about?" "I can see it in your hand and smell it." "Well, obviously you can't smell it because this is a cigar." "I don't think so." "I am calling the police. Knock yourself out, you weirdo." After her brain short circuits from being talked to like that, she tried to open my door, which was locked. Then she reached in my window and tried to grab the cigar out of my mouth. Now life has taught us all from a young very age that fire is hot and things that burn from fire are also hot, but physics never seemed to be on the forefront of these jerks. So she immediately burned her hand on the cigar and jumped back, screaming that I did that on purpose. I started laughing because it was funny. She then tried the door again and I obliged by opening it as hard as I could, which knocked her back onto her back, which made me laugh even more. "You jerk, I'm going to report you for assault. I'm going to get you and your kid kicked out of here." "Yeah, whatever, Karen, go back to your car before you have a heart attack." She walked back to her car, all the while yelling obscenities. I made sure to keep an eye on her in my rear view until we got closer to the school. Now the school principal is always outside directing traffic between the parents and school buses. He and I know each other because being in a northern state, but being fans of the U of Miami is not something you see a lot up here, so we've talked about football and other stuff about the school. So he knows me a little, and my truck is unique in size, color, and exhaust. As I'm waiting to pull up to the place where you pick up your kid, I see Karen park, get out, and head directly towards the principal. She made sure to walk by me and give me dirty looks like I guess that was supposed to intimidate me or something. Spoiler alert, it didn't. She gave the principal an earful, couldn't quite hear what she said, but made sure to be as dramatic as possible, probably telling him I'm a drug addict and a monster and all. That principal is doing his best to direct traffic and put up with her nonsense. And I assumed said something to placate her because she walked away all smug and again made sure to walk by me so I could see her big grin. I smiled back and waved at her sassily. I pulled up and my kid got in, and as I figured he would, the principal came over to me. "Did you really put a plant of pot out on her hand and slam your door into her head?" he asked me. "That's so stupid. I don't even know where to start." First she reached into my vehicle and tried to get the cigar out of my mouth, and she burned her own hand like the dummy she is. Second, she tried to open my door not once but twice, so I applied to her the second time. Third, if I opened the door as hard as I could into her head, she'd be knocked out on the road if she got bruised along with her ego. "That's just tough crap, I guess." The principal sighs voluptuously and says, "That's about what I thought happened. Just do me a favor and don't retaliate." "Okay. I don't need another headache." "No worries for me, man, just here to pick up the kid." "Go Canes." My kid put up the U symbol as we drove away, and that's it. I'll be picking up the kid later today again, so hopefully there is no repeat to that nonsense. Karen will be so thrilled to know that I didn't get the outcome She thought I would after telling the principal at least she got what she deserves and had her hands burned in her butt falling to the floor. I mean, that's what happens when you don't mind your own business. When my father moved from Ohio to Sacramento in the 1950s, he initially had 6 roommates, 2 per room. So they could keep things as affordable as possible. In the fall, the residents would rake their leaves into large piles in the gutter/side of the street. The city would send out vacuum trucks and collect the leaves on specific prearranged days, while some kids thought it was great fun to drive their car through the big piles of leaves and scatter them everywhere. My father and his roommates would then have to scramble to take everything back into a pile, or the city would not vacuum up the unorganized leaves. After about 3 weeks of this, one of his roommates, who worked graveyard shift as a mechanic at the municipal bus yard, was tired of screwing around with the leaves. After a long night of work, without telling the other roommates, when he left for work, he dropped an engine plug off his truck and covered it in a big pile of leaves at around 2 a.m. There was a horrific crash that woke up all the neighbors. Fortunately, the kids in the car were not beat up too badly, since the car was not only going about 15 miles per hour upon impact. It turns out the kid who was driving was the son of a police officer. When the cops contacted his father, he asked if his son was injured. When he was told he was fine, his father told the cops to let him walk home and not under any circumstances were they to give any of the kids a ride home. That must have been a long cold walk. In the morning, when the roommate returned from his shift, he came into the house and said something like, "You never know why you're going to catch when you go fishing." I interpreted the story as a warning that screwing with people might be funny the first few times. More than 2 times the same joke is no longer funny. For context, I'm a 17-year-old male working for my local McDonald's in a Midwestern USA, and this happened last night. We have a regular, the Karen in the story, who always come through our drive-thru and orders 2 large iced teas and a large Colombian coffee. In case you aren't familiar, some McDonald's stores sell a Colombian brew coffee, which has a much stronger flavor, way more of a kick to it, just as bitter as a Karen's soul. How fitting. Whenever there is an order for 3 or more drinks, we assume that they will want a drink tray because it makes things work better and quicker for us. However, Karen does not want a drink tray. In fact, you think she's allergic to them. If you try to give her one, she snaps at you and tries to boss you around. My coworker, who I will call Jemima, didn't know about her aversion to drink trays because she normally works different shifts and had never dealt with her before. She handed her drinks out on a tray and Karen took the drink tray and threw it at her, pressed it right back into the window. Jemima was shaking naturally and told the manager what happened last night. Karen came through the drive-thru again, and this time Jemima was at the first window where you pay for your food. She got a manager, and not just any manager, or general manager, who is the highest person on the ladder in our store. The next level is a regional manager, who takes care of the 8 stores owned by our franchise. He happened to be right there and he knew what happened. He sold Karen her coffees, but only after making it clear that she was not allowed to come back after what she did. If she comes back, not only will we ban her from all 8 stores, all the McDonald's stores in our area are owned by the same family, so she will almost certainly have to drive at least 40 minutes or something to get to a McDonald's she's allowed to go to, but we will also call the cops on her for trespassing. She got to my window and said, "I don't want to drink tray," and I just said I know that, as sassily as my thoroughly not sassy personality would allow. Update: she came back today. The official policy about what to do about her hadn't gotten around to all of the managers yet, but one of the managers there tonight sent the GM a message letting him know she came by. Hopefully by the next time she comes back, everybody knows about it and we can call the authorities on a Karen. Thank you for watching and see you next time. If you enjoyed this story, please show your support by hitting the like button. Your engagement means the world to me and helps keep the stories coming. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on future tales filled with unexpected twists and turns. Subscribing not only keeps you in the loop but also supports me in my quest to bring you more captivating stories. So, take a moment to like and subscribe. Thank you again for your support and stay tuned for more incredible journeys. Until next time, keep believing in the power of stories to transform and